Hello, Lay Zombie Killer and Dad. I'm going to try explain and hopefully help you get your stream and your games plural, running a bit better. Now, it is not 100% guaranteed because I don't know your PC. I don't know what it's got in it. I don't know the specs. I don't know if there's something wrong with it. But I'll kind of assume that there's nothing wrong with it and it's kind of mid tier, so we can hopefully get it running a bit better for you. There's a couple of things that you need to do beforehand that will help you. The first one is when you're testing and when you're setting up your stream, you don't actually want to stream, you want to test, right? So when you get your stream, if you get your stream key from Twitch, if you don't know how to find that, tell Rudders in the Discord later, and I'll explain where it is. I'll give you the link to where it is. But you get your stream key, you put it in, and then after your stream key, so let me show it. This is your stream key here. Then after it, put bandwidth test equals true, right? So this is a query to tell the Twitch server that you don't actually, you want to go live, but you don't actually want to go live. So it allows you to test your stream setup without showing people that you're live. So it'll allow you to set your bitrate and things like that without, streaming a terrible looking stream or streaming, swearing and cursing because you can't get it to work, and, generally things that you don't necessarily want people to see. So this will allow you to do that. And then when you've done this, you need to come back, you need to delete this, leave it as your stream clean, and reconnect your account. Okay. So that's quite important. You don't want that. You don't want this bit going out on stream, but you still want to test. So that's number one. Okay. So number two, I don't know what specs you've got in your PC. Okay. It will help you. You don't have to know, but it will help you if you do know, right? So open the task manager. If you don't know where the task manager is or how to get it, so just type task manager. I don't want to make, what's the saying, like suck eggs or whatever it is. If you know what a task manager is and get it. If not, type task manager, push enter, right? So type it in this little search bar, push enter. And then this will bring up, it won't bring up this screen. It'll look like this to start with, or it may look like, if you've never opened it before, it'll look like this, right? What you want to do is click more details and then open the performance tab. Right now on the performance tab, if you click down here, it says GPU, and it'll tell you in the top right what graphics card you've got. Now that information is important because if for example, I believe if you haven't got a GPU, either this won't be here, or it may say something like Intel integrated graphics, or it may say AMD Vega, or maybe what was it? I'm not sure what it was before Vega, but I don't use AMD, so, or I haven't till recently. So but if you do have a graphics card, it'll say NVIDIA GeForce. It'll say the type of card that you have, right? So in Rudder's PC, that's what I'm using at the moment because my mic's messed up. Right, in Rudder's PC, she has this card. Okay, yours may be something else, and that's your card. Now it's important to know that because this tells you a few things. It tells you what you can Google to find out a decent spec for your stream output, right? That's number one. That's the first thing. And then on CPU as well, it'll tell you what CPU you have. So I mentioned earlier about it, codecs, and the two codecs on OBS are dependent on whether you're running on your GPU or CPU. Now, I mean, your CPU can stream from you can stream decently from an expensive CPU, but like mostly you would want a dedicated card, but you can still stream from your CPU, usually at a kind of lower setting. But again, if you write these two bits of information down, it'll tell you. You can put that into Google, and you can find out from other people that have a similar sort of system as you what type of settings they're using, and that's a better baseline than the assumption that I'm making, right? So yeah, so definitely do that. Look on here, and that'll tell you that. That's first. We're gonna go through everything anyway, and I'll do my best to kind of explain how I've set Rudder's stream up and my stream and a couple of other people's stream. But like this will, I promise you, will help you a lot more. Okay, so moving on from that. Next thing is, let's open this up. So when you open your settings, so you go to your settings tab. I understand I'm your dad or dad. I'm not going to call you dad because I'm probably around your age, to be honest with you. So you've been setting this up. So there's a few things you want to check. Okay, so in output, when you first come to output, it'll look like this. This will be lower. I think by default this is set to this or something like that, right? So Twitch, first thing you want to do is come to output mode and click advanced. Okay. Now the encoder, this is what I was explaining in stream. The encoder, there's two types. You have NVENC, which is NVIDIA's codecs for processing your stream. It's lightning quick and it works off of your GPU. Okay, so like you're not getting it. OBS does use your CPU still, but all of the rendering and all the heavy lifting, as it were, is done on your GPU and then sent on. And depending on what card you have, I mean, most definitely it's going to be the option to use if you have a dedicated card. Excuse me, hold on. Then if you don't have a GPU, if you didn't have that option, if you haven't got a GPU, then you need to use X264, and that's completely rendered on your CPU. So everything is done via your CPU. You can still use that, and if you don't, I think Rudder said you do have a card. So if you don't, use this and then get back to us, and we'll you kind of apply the same thing to this that I'm going to go through in a minute. But if you need help with that, let Rudders know. But I'm assuming that you've got a graphics card. Okay, so you want to enforce the streaming service encoder settings. So make sure this box is ticked. Okay, and then these are quite important. So depending on what internet you have, set it to CBR. Right, CBR is the kind of rate control that you want. But Twitch as a streaming platform only allows, I think it's 5,500 kilobits per second. It's either 5,500 or 6,000. I can't remember which, but I said ours at 6,000 because we have a good internet connection, right? So depending on your internet connection, you want to adjust this bit rate accordingly. So start with a maximum, right? Send it to Twitch, and then if you're watching your stream and while you're streaming you're getting lag issues, etc., stuttering is something that'll occur. It'll look kind of jumpy and choppy, right? Then you want to back your bit rate off, right? You want to lower it. Start with kind of 6,000, go to 5,000, go to 4,000, and then when it's fine, then take it back up to like 4,500, and kind of work your way till you hone it till it's running how you want. And then if you wind up having the lower quality settings, etc., you can adjust again. But so that's the bit rate. It's important because if you try to send more data than the bandwidth of your internet, you're like, obviously you're not going to be sending all of the data. Like, it's not going to send it at the speed you want, so you'll get the stuttering issue. That's what's happening with that, right? So your bandwidth will be set to a certain amount per second, and then if you're saying, okay, well, we want to send 6,000, then Twitch, then it's not sending its full capacity, right? Or you're flooding out your bandwidth basically. So you're maxing it out, and you just can't send it. So then you'll get the stuttering issue. Set this to 2. Keyframe intervals. So every 2 seconds. I'm not going to explain what a keyframe is. Just set it to 2. with the preset. So this is quite important for the quality of your stream, right? And again, like with everything, kind of set it at high, then bring it down a notch, down a notch, down a notch until you're getting results that you want. And then you may change something else, and you may need then to may want to try to up it a notch, right? And so everything relates to each other. So you may want to go back up and see if you can get it there because you've lowered maybe your resolution. But for now, start here. Start with max quality. If it's causing you issue, back it down. And again, like back and forth, going back to the drawing board every time until you get something that you're happy with, okay? Profile keep to high and max B frames too as well. GPU you don't have to define because you've only got one. Unless you have two, and then you can define a GPU. But, so, yeah, quality, this is an important one. So this is very important. This is very important. Most importantly is this one. If you're not using this and you have a GPU, use it. You will see vast improvement. Okay? If you have all these settings and you kind of set all that up, the next thing is come here. Now, Rudder streams at 1080p at 60 frames. Her GPU will allow that. Now, movies, if you think about a movie, when you watch a movie in the cinema or on TV or whatever, the frames of a movie are rendered at 24 frames a second, and you don't see any difference. When you game, you play at 60 frames, 144 frames. There's a noticeable difference. I mean, in a movie, there's a noticeable difference as well, but for the most part, you can afford to lower your FPS, right? You can afford to lower it to 30. So like 30 is reasonable. I think a lot of YouTube videos are rendered at 30 frames per second. Okay, so start with your frames, lower your frames if you have to. You may have changed that stuff and you may be good at 1080p at 60 frames a second. If not, then come here and change it to 30 frames and then test. And then if that doesn't work, then come to your output resolution scale, right? So this second one. So this is your base canvas. This will be whatever you're playing your game at, right? You may be 1440. I don't know what monitor you have, but this is your base canvas. And this is your output resolution, right? So what are you sending to Twitch? Okay, so again, don't bump it down all the way straight away, or don't go all the way down here. Start at 1920, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then go back and bring it down. And again, just like keep knocking off the setting. And then like if you get down to 7020 and you like the stream here, right? And then you decide, okay, well that looks good. That looks okay to me. Then you want to come back to your output, and maybe you've had to lower this initially, and then try going up. And if it doesn't work, then bring it back down, right? It's kind of messing around with it till you get that sweet spot. Use the 36 samples, sharpened scaling. I'm not sure why. I don't know enough about how they scale it, but I've heard that this is the best option, and I haven't had any issues with it. So that's that. So those are the settings for kind of your output to stream, as it were. So your output here and here. And if you go into advanced finally, this, I think when you first get it, it's like this, partial. So it gives you a partial range of color space 601. You want to change it to 709 and full. And 709 full, you're saying you want the full color range spectrum. I think like the 709 color space is kind of like HD quality imaging. I'm not 100%, but I think it's like sRGB or something along those, not RGB. So it's the HD color spectrum, I believe. Okay, so those are the places that you want. It's literally a pixel color. So yeah, so change that if you want to. But these ones are important. So that's pretty much it for how I've set Rudder's stream up. Now, like I said, it's dependent, very, very much dependent on your PC. That's important. So you kind of, again, you have to look at you may have like a decent PC, a graphics card that's capable, but there's an issue with your PC. It could be a hardware issue, and if it's that, then after you've tried all these things, take it back to the the person that sold it to you, the retailer, whoever it was, and send your parts off for RMA. If you bought a full unit, the parts inside are still warranted. Okay, so you should be able to, depending on how old it is, send it off for RMA. You got it for Christmas, Rudders just said. So you are definitely under warranty, especially if it's a graphics card. They usually come with like mine had a 2-year warranty on, and if it's the same with the CPU as well, as long as you haven't overclocked your CPU ridiculously high, or you burn out a core or something like that, or if you haven't gone into the PC and done anything, take the thing back and have them send the part off for you. They will fix it. They'll probably take a part off the shelf and stick it in themselves. Okay, so that's important. If you try these things and it doesn't work, then do that. Right, so that's those bits. I can't think of anything else here. Audio I'll talk about in a second, because I mean I keep seeing you pick your mic up, and there's a couple of things that help with that. So let's do that now. Okay, so with the audio, so if we come here, so when you're talking in your microphone, so I'm talking in the microphone now, there's a sweet spot for your stream that you want to be aiming for. So up here at the top of the spectrum in the red, you have 0 dB. And then down here at the bottom, I think it's something I can't see, but it's -60. Now, a decent spot for your voice to be when you're talking, you want it approximately in the middle of this yellow band, right? Now, the reason for that, the reason you don't want it right at the top is because if you're right at the top and it's got nowhere to go, right? So if you shout, right, all of a sudden you're peaking, like the audio is too loud. So it causes, firstly, it can hurt somebody's ears, or if they've got headphones on, or secondly, it'll cause like a quite a nasty noise where the speakers kind of they get a rough noise to them. So a decent spot for a nice, clear, kind of crisp voice, especially when you get your Blue Yeti, is going to be like in the middle of the yellow area. But ideally, like from an audio standpoint, is you want to push it as close to red as you can without peeking over or popping over that line, right? So I set ours to kind of halfway through, and like in you can't see it, but here as well, this is the audio software I use to process Rudder's mic. You don't need this. This is purely kind of when you build your setup, but you want to keep it in the yellow, man. You don't want to go red, right? You want to keep it about halfway in the yellow. Okay, so that's, and another reason for that is you want your voice to be the most prominent thing in the stream. If you have other things going on like Rudder stream, you don't want all that shit in the background, kind of gameplay and all that stuff, overpowering your voice. You, excuse me, you literally need your voice to be heard, right? And the stream's about you, not anybody else, and it's not about Fortnite, believe it or not. It's about you as the person. So you need your voice to be louder than anything else. After that, right, so after you get this in the yellow, the next thing that you want, let's pull up one of the best bands of all time. Let's move it out of the way, right? So the next thing, I'm going to turn this all the way down and explain as I'm going. So we'll turn that down as well. So, hold on, give me a sec. There we go. Right, so so here's the audio. Here's for like music in the stream. So if you're having music, or if you just want your gameplay, you want to keep that lower than your voice, right? You want your voice to be heard, but you also want a bit of background, right? So when you're setting up your stream and your gameplay and your audio and everything else, keep this is called Potato because it runs through software processing, but this would be called like desktop or something for you, right? You want to keep it middle to like in the band of like -40 to -30, right? Somewhere around there, depending on preference. You don't want it too low because you won't be able to hear shit, right? And you don't want it too loud or it overpowers your voice, right? You don't want to be washed out from the music, right? We don't want that. So what you want to do, like a decent range, is it's about here. So you can hear your voice, but you can also hear one of the best bands of all time, right? Very, very important. So that's that bit. So you definitely want your voice to be mid-yellow, and then everything else in your stream, unless you got other people talking, they need to be a bit louder as well. Like if you got squads, your squad comms or whatever, you want that louder. But you want your gameplay and all that sort of stuff to be kind of, yeah, so mid-range on the green. You're not going to go far wrong. Again, like it's preferential. Like you may listen to it, you record back and you listen to it and you say, hey, I don't actually like that. I would like it a little bit louder, or, something like that. Then that's what you do. I've just realized while I was doing that, that audio actually wasn't going up and down, was it? Because I'm recording on a different one. But hopefully it makes sense. You just want to move this slider up and down to to like -40, between -40 and -30. The reason why the volume may not have adjusted there is because I'm running 2 instances. So because I wouldn't have been able to show you how to set it up if I didn't. So forgive me, I adjusted the volume on the wrong one. But when you're setting up your music and your gameplay, you want to stick those in that range, right? And then put your voice higher up. Okay. Anything else? Let me think. Microphone. Don't move your microphone. Okay? The bog roll works. I've seen somebody do it. Like a friend of mine, he used a bog roll. He stuck his mic in a bog roll, literally to hold the mic, because he broke his mic stand. Okay, if you haven't got a mic stand or you can't afford one at the moment, just make sure that your mic is put in a place that you don't have to move it, because the closer you get to the mic and the further away you get from the mic, it changes the way your voice is heard, right? So what you want to do is find a spot on your desk, leave it there, even if you've got to prop it up with books or something. Leave it there and then adjust the volume to fit into the range that I talked about a second ago, right? And don't fucking touch it until you replace it. 2 reasons. Number one, you don't want to fucking touch it every time you got to say something. I mean, you would like picking the mic up and talking to people in your stream while you're trying to play Fortnite, dude. You're never going to become a pro Fortnite player like that. That's basically it, man. You just put it somewhere, find a spot, and you can turn the gain up and down on here, right? If it's far away, then turn the gain up, and if it's close, then turn it down. And just make sure that it's in that yellow bar right there, right? Just adjust it till you get there. That's it. That is literally everything. If you do all this and it doesn't work, take the computer to the person that sold it to you. I hope you have a warranty, and tell them to RMA your computer. Right? Rudder's is saying something. Hold on. Fortnite settings, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so yeah. So unfortunately, right? Here's the thing. It could be several things with your textures. It could be the amount of RAM you have. Okay, so so let's look. I'm launching Fortnite. Let's move that out of the way. So we'll go over the settings for Fortnite. Give me a sec. While I'm waiting though, because it's such a good tune, I'm gonna finish playing this. I'll turn it up for you as well. It won't happen there. Right. Such a tune. Right, okay. Right, okay, so here we are. I would have like chopped that out and been instantaneous, but we're on time scale and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I haven't had any sleep. I don't want to go to sleep. So here we go. So here's the settings that Rudders uses. Now Rudders graphics card is a monster. Well, it's one of the top spec cards that are out at the moment. Okay, so you don't want to start here. I mean, I'll give you an example. I've got the same graphics card, but when I'm playing Fortnite, I don't play on those settings. I'm not streaming at the moment, but I play on these settings. And if you try these settings, look, I'll go into a game quickly and I'll show you. Okay. I'll explain these settings in a minute as well. Like what the things are. So I should put AC/DC back on. It just makes everything better. Right. Right. So if you look in the game, right, this is not bad. Matter of fact, you'll watch a lot of streams that look like this. Okay? There's no shadows. There's no anything really. It's just literally the game with anti-aliasing and view distance. Okay, and I'll explain why those are on in a minute. Okay, so let's go back here. So before you touch the resolution, don't touch this yet. Like leave it at 1080. I'm assuming your monitor is 1080. If it's 1440, then it'll be 1440. But before you change anything here, mess with this. Okay, so start here. I would say start here. If you're already on low, I saw that you were like way down here, right? Don't touch 3D resolution till the end. Leave it 100%, and then put it on low, right? Change it all to low. This is what mine set at, right? And then put 3D resolution to 100%. Your view distance to epic, and your anti-aliasing to epic. Now, I'll explain what those are. So your view distance is how far you can see in game, right? Now, that's important because you don't want to you want to be able to see. It's important to see how, as far as you can, because there's snipers in Fortnite, and you want to be able to see if somebody's pointing one at your head. So the further you can see, the better for you. If you're having problems, obviously start at epic. If it doesn't work, back it down, run it again, back it down, etc., 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 right? Texturing issues, again, back it down, right? Same with anti-aliasing. Anti-aliasing is the smoothing around objects, right? So if I turn it off, it becomes more apparent, right? So if we go back to the game, come on, today. Wow, what's happened to this thing? Right, so if you look at the edges of stuff, did it actually turn it off? Trying to find an example for you. I'm sat so far from my monitor. Anyway, like, if you look, you can't even tell, to be honest with you. Not at this resolution. So, turn that down, hell. Literally turn it down. Turn it off. Yeah, I know. Right, okay, so view distance again. Try it, because you've changed all of OBS now, right? So try it here as well. If it's not working, still turn it down bit by bit. Okay, and then and only then start reducing this. Do not turn it all the way down to start with, right? Just don't. Do 10% at a time and test each time you turn it down. So like take it to 90%, go back to your game, right, and test and see if it's kind of rendering and how it looks for you. If it's shit or if it's still not working, then back it down some more, right? What you don't want is to like back it all the way down to 25%, click apply, and then go back into your game and all the textures have loaded, but you're like, oh, okay, well that works. Okay, I must have to leave it there, and you actually only need to back it down to 80%, right? So just back it down, like literally bit by bit. Then finally, if that doesn't work, right? That took forever. What is going on with your PC? Right, so finally, if that doesn't work, then come up here and adjust your resolution here. I mean, I wouldn't, to be honest with you, but you know, if you have to, then you can. I mean, it's going to change your size, I think. Yeah, just if you can help it, don't do it. And that's that. Like, what it could be though, it could be other things. It could be things that aren't involved with your Fortnite settings. You're streaming and gaming. So if you've got limited RAM, for example, so if you've got 8 gigabytes of RAM, you should be okay to stream, right? You should be okay to stream. But I mean, you could have points where your RAM is maxed out and it doesn't have enough space to render in your textures, right? Or it could be your bandwidth, right? So it's like the texture thing is, yeah, it's a bit of a fucker. So like, if you've got 8 gigabytes of RAM, like lowering your settings is gonna save space. Is it enough for you to stream at the same time? I don't know. But if you've got 16 gigabytes of RAM, you're good to go. 8 gigabytes, I would think you're okay, but you could run into like you're maxing it out. So look at upgrading your RAM. RAM's relatively cheap. Just make sure when you buy RAM, and RAM is literally plug and play. You do not need to take it to a shop. You can buy the RAM sticks. Just tell us what motherboard you got, and etc., and we'll find the RAM for you. You buy it, and it's literally clip it in place. Do not pay 100 quid to somebody to stick it in. I promise you can do it yourself. If it's that, then you know, try upgrade your RAM, and finally your internet connection. And if it's not any of that shit, RMA, man, RMA. That's it, dude. That's all I can think of. I hope it works for you. I really do. I know it's a pain in the ass. Rudder's had the same thing with her laptop. But I wish you luck with your stream. And if you need anything, just hit us up in the Discord, dude. See you later, Zombie Killer and Dad. Bye.